He started life abandoned on the streets of Caracas. No name. No home. No reason to trust a single human being. And he ended it being called a national hero, but not before one final, impossible mission in the rubble of Venezuela's worst natural disaster in decades. This is the story of a dog the world almost never knew. Let's go back to the beginning, because to understand what this dog did, you have to understand what he survived first. Caracas in the late 1990s was a city of sharp contrasts. Gleaming skyscrapers next to crumbling barrios. Wealth right alongside poverty so deep it had its own gravity. And running through the streets of one of those neighborhoods, thin, scarred, and constantly wary, was a mid-sized mixed breed with amber eyes and a brindle coat the color of dried clay. Nobody owned him. Nobody fed him consistently. He slept where he could, ate what he could find, and trusted no one. That changed when a search and rescue volunteer named Carlos spotted him near a training facility on the outskirts of the city. Carlos had been working with disaster response dogs for years, and something about this particular stray stopped him cold. The dog didn't run. Didn't growl. He just watched. With those amber eyes, completely still, like he was the one doing the evaluating. Carlos left food out for 3 days before the dog came close enough to touch. And here's the first thing about this dog that tells you everything you need to know. The moment he decided to trust Carlos, he never looked back. Not once. That kind of loyalty, the kind born out of survival? It doesn't waver. The dog was eventually named Valiente. Brave. And that name was going to mean something. Now, training a rescue dog from scratch is a years-long commitment. It's not fetch and treats. It's systematic desensitization to chaos, collapsing structures, fires, screaming, darkness, unstable ground. Most dogs wash out. The work is brutal, and the emotional demand on the animal is immense. But here's what the trainers noticed about Valiente almost immediately: he wasn't just trainable. He was intuitive. While other dogs needed dozens of repetitions to learn a scent discrimination task, Valiente seemed to understand the point of the exercise from nearly the first session. The trainers started calling him a natural. That word kept coming up. Natural. So keep that in the back of your mind, because it matters enormously later. By 1999, Valiente had completed his training and was certified as an active search and rescue animal with the Caracas Civil Defense Unit. He'd been deployed on a handful of smaller operations, a collapsed building here, a landslide there. Each time, he performed. Each time, he came home. And then December 1999 arrived, and everything changed. What happened in Venezuela that month is still, decades later, considered one of the deadliest natural disasters in the history of the Western Hemisphere. Heavy rainfall, weeks of it, saturated the mountains above the densely populated coast of Vargas State. Then, in the middle of the night, the mountainside let go. Walls of mud, rock, and water cascaded down at speeds that left no time to run. Entire neighborhoods were swallowed. Estimates suggest somewhere between 10,000 and 30,000 people died. The number is uncertain because some communities simply ceased to exist. Valiente and his unit were deployed within hours. Now, here's what you have to picture. This wasn't a clean disaster site. There was no grid to search, no clear structure to navigate. It was chaos in 3 dimensions, layers of mud, concrete, timber, personal belongings, and silence broken only by the occasional sound that might be a voice or might just be settling debris. The human rescuers were exhausted, disoriented, and devastated by what they were seeing. Valiente worked for 18 hours straight on the first day. 18 hours. And this is the part that gets us every time. On the 3rd day, when most of the rescue operation had shifted toward body recovery rather than live saves, because after 72 hours, the odds of finding survivors dropped dramatically, Valiente stopped at a section of rubble that every other team had already passed. He sat down. He wouldn't move. Carlos tried to redirect him twice. The dog simply looked up at him with those amber eyes and refused to budge. They dug. 7 feet down, in an air pocket created by a fallen concrete beam, they found a grandmother and her 2 grandchildren. Alive. The youngest was 4 years old. They had been buried for 68 hours. Over the course of the full operation, Valiente made 25 confirmed live finds. 25. In the worst disaster Venezuela had seen in living memory, one dog, a dog who started life as trash in the eyes of a city that had thrown him away, pulled 25 people back from the edge. The story spread the way only the most human stories do. It wasn't reported first in a newspaper. It was passed from rescuer to rescuer, from survivor to survivor, whispered in the way that people share things they're almost afraid to say out loud because saying it makes it feel fragile. Eventually it reached the national press, and then it reached the world. Valiente was officially honored by the Venezuelan civil defense authorities. He received a ceremonial collar, hand-tooled leather, his name stamped in gold lettering. Carlos kept it. He still has it. But here's the thing about Valiente that nobody really talks about in the news stories. He didn't change after the disaster. He didn't become some symbol to himself. He went home. He ate his dinner. He slept in his usual spot next to Carlos's boots. He was still just a dog. Just a dog who happened to be, by any reasonable measure, one of the most remarkable living things to ever walk the rubble of a broken city. Valiente lived to be 14 years old, a full, long life for a dog who spent his first years barely surviving. When he passed, Carlos reportedly sat with him through the whole night. Didn't say much. Just stayed. There are 25 families somewhere in Venezuela who exist because a street dog with amber eyes refused to walk past a pile of rubble. Because one man left food out for 3 days. Because patience and trust, extended to something the world had discarded, turned into something extraordinary. Not every rescue dog makes the news. Not every stray on the street is hiding a hero inside them. But Valiente's story asks us, gently, persistently, to consider what we miss when we look away. What potential we abandon when we decide something isn't worth our time. He started life as nobody's dog. He ended it as everyone's hero. If this story moved you even a little, and honestly, how could it not, drop a comment below and tell us about an animal that surprised you. A pet, a stray, a wild animal, anything. We read every single one of those comments and they are genuinely the best part of our week. And if you've got a dog in your life right now, go give them a moment of your time. They deserve it. If this story made you smile, or made you tear up, or made you want to go hug something with 4 legs, hit that like button. It genuinely helps us find more stories just like this one. We'll see you for the next one.